Just a minute.
You have the draft minutes for. Wow.
All right. Mike got praised. I assume Rodney's first. Yes. Let's open the meeting first. Then we pick the note form of the report.
Well, I got just a couple of things there, and that's Larry's truck went to breaking. Nothing more than 2 working on the body.
Is that there okay?
He was up there with that hitch.
Where is my?
Gonna take the ton truck down to out of the Monday. They're gonna look at it, they can fix it. They'll go, order parts and we'll bring the truck back. Do it, so they get the part done.
What are you fixing?
The hoist is still bad.
Oh, but you couldn't fix it then.
Lucky said that they didn't understand the system, so they couldn't work on it.
I don't understand that.
Dang.
Yeah, it just goes up too fast, comes down a little too hard.
What about Larry's truck? What did that do?
Well, the pedestal that holds all the levers and everything else, both last winter, and we toggled it back together to, keep it moving. Years warranty is running out, and we want to fix before that happens. So that's why that's up there, and a couple of little. See if they can speed up a couple of things on it, so it's a little bit faster. The tractor is going back together.
All right.
All right.
Hasn't made it there yet, but they're in the process of putting it together as we speak. I talked to him today.
So do they expect the weeks then, or how did that?
Only thing I can tell you is they realize they've had it long enough and they're working hard to get it back.
The longer they work, the more billable hours they make, the more money will hold, but the more they want the money from it.
And with the leaves starting to change and start falling down, we're gonna need a jacket to keep the leaves out of the way. Do our stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's coming. I wanna have a picket put together some brush to put on Ice Hill over there. Put a coat up over there and, if he doesn't, we'll give it a tucker, but, I've given him the opportunity to give us some fresh gravel.
Where does he get that?
Out of his pit.
Oh, he makes it.
Yeah. But he didn't know whether he would be able to get it in the time frame I wanted to know, but he was gonna try.
By 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
No, not quite that early, but.
You ever do anything more with that Lincoln kid? With the dump truck?
The bad news is he rolled it over yesterday. So,
Loaded?
Dumping it,
uh,
dumping it,
dumping it.
yeah, I've seen videos of that.
So, so I understand ruined the trailer and, twisted the truck bad enough so the fan went through the radiator.
Wow.
I tell what happened to that.
Did he haul any?
We were next. It was not. Well, you have to get something for us right after the fair. And this John Kelly, he got something here for you folks to sign tonight. Got nothing in the email, nothing.
Not that I know of, but I can double check.
Cause he was supposed to send you some plans signed so he can give them back here to put this in motion.
He's the engineer.
This is slide one. I'm tracking one.
I talked to him today and they said he's gonna give them right out, so. It may not happen. Something we need to check on, and then maybe you would have to, sign it or something, so we can keep this thing moving forward. We're at a standstill right this moment, because we've got to do a bat study,
Sure.
A what study?
a bat study. That's sure we're not gonna have any bats get bothered by cutting a couple of trees.
Who's gonna climb up the tree and what?
I don't know.
At night.
That's a hurdle we gotta get over.
Very general, they want place to check that out.
Yeah, now is that something that is Sean Kelly's gonna take care of as part of the whole deal, or do we have to pay separate for that?
I think it's all in the deal, but he is, I thought we ran into this situation once before and Chris Bump helped us get through it. And so I told him to talk with Chris and see the fastest way through it. And
Was that identified as bat habitat, or is this just an animal?
now, what this, they have a big list of why everything's gotta be checked off before you can do anything. Gotta, you know, it had to make sure it weren't in the wetlands and river run right beside it, so I'm not saying it's very wet.
Most of it's on the river.
So that's kind of a tough one to tell too, and we've got most everything on this side of town gone over the grader. I am kind of skimped on the chloride. I know it's gonna be a little dusty, but we're trying to make sure it's not horribly dusty for nobody.
How's that different from chloride, but,
We haven't got it yet,
okay,
but we're gonna get it. Yeah, I haven't used any, haven't been able to, yeah, what we got.
What do you change it from what kind of chlorine to what kind?
Magnesium chloride. And but once again, the reason for why we're cutting back on the chloride is we're hoping maybe that's some of the answer to December mud seasons.
Yep.
And the only way we can find out is give it a whirl and see what happens.
Change the material we use on hills.
Well, see, my dilemma is, the only thing we have really in common with every town is we've all been still in that chloride. And, everybody reporting their 5-6 mud season is. Somebody has to take the issue, see if we can figure out what it is. So if my town has been picked by me to slow it down and see what happens. And that's about all I have for you.
All right, well, Mariah found this form that needs to be signed for Sean Kelly. It's application form for coverage under the stream alteration general permit.
Is that the bat study?
No, this is not the best. I'm saying. The permit registration, $200 review. No bats.
Brian, you know Chris Bump's number?
Does anybody want me to sign this thing?
I do.
Okay. You think it's a good idea to sign this?
yeah.
Okay,
No,
I don't. Make a motion.
think welcome Gary to sign the back.
No, this is not the bat study.
Oh,
If I see a bat study, I'll sign it.
okay.
All right. That was it's kind of an unofficial motion also.
Mhm.
Please go with him.
Yes,
All done.
Well, there is a scheduled meeting for that link bridge. I'll be at least one Blackboard member there.
When's the 12th, 2 days from now?
So
No,
Thursday.
no.
yeah,
Tomorrow is when I have over here. I mean, Thursday I have a meeting over here. It's.
oh, are you gonna do that one?
Yes.
I was like, Ronnie can't make it,
I called
he's on
him.
vacation. Okay,
So, Chris wants to show up. I have to get back to you on it. I don't remember the date on it. I got it written on the calendar, but I don't have it in my written up yet.
Right, so. Fell out, but what about that to do that?
Well, I just feel one of the two, because we're working on a grant. Get this siting and stuff done. I think when you know that, after we can push it through.
One of us,
Is it any of it structural, or is it just the banging in the side?
Gonna be this, well, that's kind of structural. We're gonna take the siding off and put the siding back on.
You're saying.
but Daniels did say they would fix the banging. Remember, I,
Oh, as a standalone.
yes, as a
Okay.
standalone thing, but they said it wouldn't be till like end of October. I said that's.
The numbers that I saw on the bid there, fit into the 200,000 all these and then some. And that's what that grant is good for. So I understand, I haven't seen anything of it, but that's what I've been told.
is this a new grant?
Something for that covered bridge.
Okay.
All I know. Chris Bump said the time was running out and we needed to act on it.
You better jump on
He's been gonna set up a meeting for 6 months now. Just fine getting that.
it. Okay.
But I'll get back to you on that date.
And so you fellas taking the whole of Thursday and Friday off?
Yeah. So, I think it's 17th. I think it is on it. Yeah, we're gonna take Tunbridge there.
I assume you would.
I've done that for a long time.
It's not 30 years.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, if that's all you got, you can leave.
All right. I gotta go park a camper.
Yeah,
Right.
Derek said he'd be there at 6:30.
what's that?
Derek said he'd be there at
Oh, there
6:30.
you go. I saw that, just got that.
All right,
Any campers you gonna fit in your lawn?
3. Got 2 of them already there.
Thank you.
Let's see it.
When it's going on.
None, they're all there. I've got some people coming in inside the house.
All right, we're early, but we can start the meeting. I have to.
He's not here, he's the soccer game,
Yeah.
but Rudy is here in his stead.
All right.
What was that?
I said that. He asked if Jonathan was coming. I said he has a soccer game, but that you're here in his stead.
All right. I'll start then. I think we're still on track to, we'd like to spiffy up the trails or we look for any damage or whatever before winter time hits for safety reasons. Tell me if I'm wrong, but we'd like the trails, the stewards to look over the trails and, get back to us at the end of October. And, tell us what we may or may not need to do, and we can make a decision then on what we may or may not do. And so we'd like Rudy to just head that up. And coordinate with the other trail stewards to look over all the legal trails and get back to us.
By October, you said?
October, whenever the last meeting in October was,
I'll give
20
I'll give you a
something.
date. October 22nd, please.
And that would focus mostly on safety, right,
Yeah,
as far as right away.
yeah, within the right of way, obviously, within the actual trail itself, that was what I envisioned. And any obstacles that might be in the
What
way.
kind of maintenance needs to be done to make it safe?
Right,
I got this email from Karen Blow.
Yeah.
Wanted to use Falls Hill Trail. But in my talking to Jonathan. That it seemed to me like it's an event. And I think he said no events.
wasn't there a ride around with Cal Hemingway last year?
They did,
Yeah,
was it last year, year before, or something.
I think it was last year.
But anyway, she just said that. She wanted to use it, so I thought. That they had ridden around it before.
Yeah. Well, I think if you can, one of us can get, or Mariah could get back to her, or somebody, and just tell her to do the same reroute.
Yeah.
From before. And then-
Because after I got this, I read it and I got thinking about it, and I said, well, geez, seemed like they went around it
Right,
before.
because he used a snowmobile trail.
Did they go on Angel's Land?
Well, that I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. But, oh, she says we have to get landowners.
In the event is the weekend after the fair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
To be in touch with Cal Children.
Yeah.
Or the estate. I think.
Mm.
But also Angel, but they want.
Yeah, they wanna go on there, yeah. Can you get a hold of her? Or send her a message or whatever?
Mhm. And just say, we're not doing events, please
Right.
contact the
Right.
landowners and see if you can
Right,
use their property.
and. Not just Hemingway, but Timmy. Who
Yeah.
Timmy was good.
Yeah.
So just to clarify.
Yeah.
Because I remember when the decision was made about events, that if the landowner, in this case, the Hemingway and Tim Angel, but particularly Hemingway's, agree to have something that normally the select board would say was an event and would be prohibited, that it can happen. The event can happen because the private landowner that the legal trail goes through has said, has given permission. Okay, just for the record. Press is covering, want to make sure we're clear.
well, especially on the Angels land, we have no control over that anyway.
Right.
And it seemed like it wasn't, the horses actually didn't go on the legal trail last
Right,
time.
seemed like they cut across.
Yeah, so it really had nothing to do with legal trails or the town of Tunbridge.
But we should probably clarify. Are we, if we're neutral on it, but there's landowner permission? Can go ahead with an event essentially
On the trail,
on the public right away?
Yeah.
Or do we have to expressly give our consent?
I think we have to give her that.
Well, but isn't this unique because that trail is a dead end and it continues all on private land?
Yes,
So to traverse the trail in any meaningful way, they have to also have permission to cross the private land beyond that.
yes,
And that's what the permission is needed, right?
as much as anything, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, long we're in the comment portion. See, John has his hand up.
Just on the question of events, I was looking back at my notes. Almost 3 years ago, the planning commission and the trails committee came up with a set of recommendations. And one of them was that there ought to be a policy on events. And that set of recommendations didn't come to ground on a final resolution of what an event was. And I know this has been percolating a little bit in the planning commission and the trails committee, but it has, I don't think there's any resolution of that issue. There are other issues like what is a motorized vehicle, which similarly was discussed in the recommendations and the recommendations say, but we haven't reached a final agreement, understanding of it, so we don't even have a final recommendation, never mind a decision, so. Just to qualify what Todd says, I think that it's not, setting aside the issue you raised, the question of what is an event is not resolved. As far as I know.
All right.
Yes, Peter.
Never mind.
And maybe next select board meeting, we could have trails committee come in and just discuss some of those issues.
Instead of trails, I kind of think that sits with the planning commission. John had come to our last commission meeting, and we do have that collection of community feedback from a couple of years ago. That's not a policy, that's just kind of a collection of stuff. And I mean, I was actually gonna email you to see if you wanted it, but I would be okay with trying to distill that into some kind of policy for events and sending it to you. I don't, as far as like legal trails and class 4 road policy, that's something to touch at the moment, but events, I think we could take a look at if you wanted us.
Yeah, I think for you to present it to us, sure,
Okay,
pretty good.
and can I raise one other point
Sure.
about the legal trails or historic roads, I think is a better use of term for them, but, so my concern is about these historic roads have been closed since you guys made your decision back in 2023. I mean, the decision that you guys made was they should be open and stewards should take a look at them and make sure seasonally. So what we have basically is these trails are closed. And they're kind of like only open if the stewards say they should be open. And I think that's the reverse. I thought that was the reverse of your intention, which is these trails are open and stewards should close them seasonally if it's muddy or whatever, but we basically had trails just not open. So I'm wondering if that can be kind of just looked at a little bit in terms of, I think the intention, was to keep them open, close them if muddy,
Aren't several of the trails open to walking now?
The select board's decision was that the trail should be open for all use, not just walking. And that the stewards would take a look and determine, how muddy or mucky they were, so. I think the decision was they're open unless they're closed just for brief periods of time seasonally, and. We're kind of in the opposite situation where they're just closed and no one's kind of looking at them to say, oh no, they actually should be open. So for example, like now, it's perfectly dry, Falls Hill Trail could certainly be open. Just, now, and I'm not talking about events, I'm just talking about people who wanna, use it for whatever the use is, I don't even know, so.
How do we stand on that, Rudy?
My understanding, talking to Jonathan, was he's the steward for the crossroad.
Mhm.
And felt that it should still be closed to all uses right now. Orchard Road has been open to walking all summer, and it has been wet all summer. And so I have not been comfortable opening to that to other uses until the wet area in particular is addressed. There needs to be some maintenance on that wet area.
Right.
To bear other traffic. And Falls Hill is open to walking as well. So
But
just,
no other uses at this moment.
what's that?
Falls Hill's not open to any other uses.
Correct, as far as I know, that it's walking only right now.
Yeah, could you check, because Susan Salster is the steward of that.
Yep.
Was there a particular reason why it would not be open to other uses?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I can check with
Okay.
Susan.
And Rudy Baptist Hill,
Baptist Hill is closed to all uses at this point. It is extremely wet. It's also deteriorating further in the flooding events, so my personal preference would be to see that receive some maintenance, or it's gonna become unusable permanently.
So I'm all in favor of maintenance on the trails to preserve them, make them usable. One of the things I think we need to consider is the degree to which we're being consistent or inconsistent about what uses we allow on legal trails versus class 4 roads. And in particular, or specifically, the parts of class 4 roads that don't service any houses, that are essentially abandoned segments. Many of which are in worse condition than Orchard Road, for example. Yet they're open to any kind of use, bicycles, even motor vehicles. So if if people can use those roadways in their condition, why shouldn't they also be able to use the legal trails in what is equal or if not better condition in some cases?
Good point.
I think the answer is a highway is open to all highway uses. It's a class 4 road. It's open to everybody for anything.
Right, it is, but
But
it's
that's because. it's a
well, no,
class 4
actually,
road.
the selectmen can restrict use based on conditions.
It's seasonally, but apart from seasonally, it's open for all comers. Not the case with the trail. I just want, if I could just.
Well, no,
mention-
I think it is the case with the trail, unless the selectmen say otherwise. It's exactly the same.
But anyway, John, that'd be a couple minutes.
Yeah, just to, the Supreme Court has ruled, we finally have a right case. We are, it's before the Superior Court and, hopefully the Superior Court will move forward. And will give us a decision. We filed a motion for summary judgment today, which is, it's just a, sort of a technical filing. There's a motion to dismiss pending from the town saying, we're right, the town is right, John and Karen are wrong. We filed a motion for summary judgment that says, well, if you think Karen and John are right and the town is wrong, then grant our summary judgment motion and award victory to us. So,
Can I ask a clarification point? My understanding from the Supreme Court decision was that they had remanded it to the lower court for.
Yes.
so-called.
So it's not before the Supreme Court.
No, I'm sorry, like, you spoke, Superior Court.
Yeah.
But we might get a decision next week. I
welcome that.
wouldn't bet anything on that.
I wouldn't either.
So there is no court date set at this period at the moment.
No, not that I don't know. I mean, no, there is no.
And if the town were to succeed on its merits, then the town would have the right of way, as a lot of us in this room say that the town should have the right to do maintenance and also the types of uses, if the town were to win on its motion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Just to clarify, the date, there's no need for a date. The town has a motion pending to dismiss the lawsuit because the town is right on the law. That is now in front of the judge. We have filed a kind of a companion motion that says, no, we're right on the law, right? Hand us the victory. And unless there's some extraordinary event or intervention, she will proceed to resolve the motions without a hearing or talking to us. She might well want to talk to us, but there's no indication so far that she wants to.
But let's also be clear that there's nothing in front of the courts about allowed uses. The whole question of allowed uses lies right here.
All right, anybody else got a comment?
Well, I'd just like to point out that I'm remembering a couple meetings ago, select board meetings ago, that you voted to begin clearing trees off. And we're gonna direct the town garage to do that work, and that that we talked, Thornton was here, and we talked about which way to go in, so we didn't disturb that wet spot. They're gonna come in from the Orchard Road side, and I thought we were proceeding with beginning maintenance tree clearing.
Could be wrong, but I don't remember, I remember wanting to do that, but I don't remember that we voted to do that.
There was definitely a motion on the floor. I believe the date was August, late August. It was just a few days before the Supreme Court hearing, within 2 or 3 days.
Yep.
And it seemed to those who were at that meeting that the town crew was poised to go in and do that. And what's a little disconcerting now, the original date, I just looked it up, as far as this contretemps being started, was 8/20/20. Okay, and it was based on a conversation between Professor Echeverry and myself, a rather contentious one. That my understanding at that late May meeting was that maintenance, particularly taking out the trees, was going to happen. Now, just a quick question, have any trees been removed on either side of the legal trail? To your knowledge, John, you would know on your side.
I took one out the other day just because I was going,
Okay,
I was my tractor.
okay, and on your side? No. So, when we sort of heard through the grapevine, just a few days later than the date of the meeting, that there was a hold on taking the trees out. Now, we don't have to get on the inside track of why that decision was made, but that decision certainly wasn't made at that meeting. And now we've gone through an entire summer, and now we're hearing that we'll get a report from the Trails Committee in late October, when a lot of this work should have been done, probably in early June. And we get to late October, it snows, it looks like it could possibly be held off until maintenance in the spring. And we don't know what the judgment will be if it comes down without having another court hearing. So I guess why the wait till the end of October?
Especially when you had Thornton and Rudy in the room when you were discussing it, and Thornton making recommendations that you come in from the orchard side, so you didn't disturb the wet spot, and you voted on it.
It's probably in the minutes. I mean, Mariah could bring it
Well,
up.
I'm happy to read the minutes.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
so, we probably dropped the ball, but I didn't intentionally do that.
So was there a reason though, why, whether it was, you remembering the motion or not, why no maintenance was pursued for the whole course? Now we're well into September.
I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
Can I speak to that?
Sure.
I think what's changed is that we've got a decision from the Vermont Supreme Court, which has said that the claim is ripe. And I think has given the lie to any suggestion that this is a frivolous claim. The decision will be rendered on whether or not we're right or the town is right. If you go forward, and our attorney has discussed it with the town attorney, if you go forward and try to remove trees now, we're gonna be back in court. Tomorrow, the next day. And that's yet another complete waste of time, but if the town pushes it, we're gonna be there. What we urge you to do is to just let the Superior Court resolve the issue. If you want to press the issue, then we're gonna be in court seeking a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction. So I don't think it's in the town's interest to pursue that. You're gonna get an answer soon enough. And if you're unhappy with how long the answer has taken to get, Mike will tell you, keep saying, it's not my fault, it's your fault, because you litigated this right position for 2 years unsuccessfully at enormous cost to the taxpayers.
Who brought it up to begin with?
You brought up right.
No, you started this whole.
Yes, but
Yes, but what?
it's a legitimate disagreement. Laura Ginsburg said, I think,
Don't blame us for it.
no, but you dragged
We
it out.
didn't have any problem with these.
You
trails.
dragged out the
Come on.
resolution of this issue for 2
Yeah,
unnecessary years.
Okay. I've done enough of trails for tonight, I think.
I haven't, Bill, unless someone else would like to speak.
I'd like to just say that in terms of the question that you just posed about why the maintenance didn't happen is because our position legally at that point was still that the case was not right. And so there were reasons for not acting at that time.
And
So now that it is right, why are we not acting?
It's a different question now. Because the court has decided that the case is right.
Sorry, George.
So is it, there's some amount of legal knowledge in the room, is it, now that the case has been determined to be right? And we are going to argue that in court, how is it any different if we go ahead and maintain the roads? It's clear that this is gonna go all the way, no matter what we do, no matter what John says, this is just gonna go all the way. So, I mean, I think obviously the question needs to be run by the town's lawyer, but why not just forge ahead and open up the trail and enjoy it for the fall? And I mean, it's not gonna get us in worse trouble, and I don't trust anything you say, John, because everything that you've given the town as advice has never been in the town's interest. It's always, and I don't, please, I'm speaking. And, you know, to argue it anymore with you is just a waste of time. We're all moving forward on the tracks that we have. And so I just want to point out that if it's not gonna make the legal situation any worse, I would really, really appreciate just moving forward and getting some use out of the trail in the fall. Every year that goes by that this trail is closed, every day that gets waited upon, it just becomes more and more possible for Don to shut it down forever. And, you know, there's, what's it called, squatters' rights, and, you know, there's just reasons why you don't wanna let this go.
I think it is fine. No,
Not yet.
He should.
I agree with George, and I'll answer your question. John has promised more litigation if we do anything, and so. I don't know if I want more litigation. And so I guess I wish the court would just decide, and then once they decide, then we can do something.
Yeah.
But I agree with you.
Yeah, and I guess the question for the town is, do you want to let this man bully us out of our rights and in this treasure that we've had for years? Or, you know, let me put it another way. It's completely within our prerogative to just give up. We could stop litigation today and just do whatever John wants. And that's, you know, that is a possibility, but I think one direction or the other should be chosen. If it's gonna have to go all the way, let's just go all the way.
Andy, you haven't spoken?
It's come up several times tonight about how wet that trail is. So that, to me, that's gotta be some sort of factor about just opening it up and let everybody go through there. It's wet after the pretty dry summer. It's about as dry as we get here, right? It's still all wet.
But I think
So it's gonna need some major maintenance to dry that.
well, I think that's what we're talking about is the maintenance.
So just to clarify, so I know, so you would like us to do maintenance and just open it up, or?
No, I'm just bringing up the point that you can't just open it up
Okay,
because it's come up several times of how wet it is.
yeah. So you prefer to not open it until things get dried out,
I don't think it would be responsible.
right, okay. Yeah, Michael, you wanna add anything more?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Is there a particular reason we're not fixing the issues on the trail that are not on John's land?
I'm not sure, because you were gonna put in a water barn at some point, John.
And that's on me, and that, as the trail steward, I have tracked that wet spot all summer pretty carefully. And I totally agree that it is wet.
Yeah.
There is a seat there, it's clearly a wetland area. So that presents a lot of issues with what we can and can't do there. A water bar may very well be within permissible limits without a permit, but I have looked really hard at that location, and I think it needs multiple water bars, and I think they may need to go different directions. And it's not a straightforward fix. We can get a consultation to develop a plan for that. The Upper Valley Trails Alliance could do something like that. If we are a member, they offer free consultation to their members. We are not currently a member of the Upper Valley Trails Alliance. But it's beyond my realm of knowledge how to address that wet area. It's not an easy fix.
I have, probably you can't answer the question, Rudy, but I have a question about if the legal trail is basically a downgraded class 4 road. And if a class 4 road got muddy or wet or whatever, we need it passable for whatever reason, or for instance, we need to change a culvert to make sure the road doesn't wash out more. The road crew would come in and within the track of the road, we would perform whatever we have to perform. So I don't understand why we can't on a legal trail perform whatever we need to perform, whether there's lily pads on the right and left or not.
It's a matter of whether, and I know that we don't always get permits for our road work. That should get a permit,
Yeah.
more than likely. Actually, I won't say that, because it's possible a water bar may not meet a permit. But in order to trigger a permit, we can work with 250 cubic feet of fill, which is not very much.
Right.
So that 250 cubic feet needs to be assessed in terms of how we address that wet area. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I think we need a plan for it. And I think there's a lot of other maintenance that can be done that aren't in that wet area that would protect that road, that trail, because that trail is starting to deteriorate because maintenance is not happening on other portions of the trail. The ditches need to be cleaned, the trees should be addressed. I think those are all things, but that wet area needs a plan, in my estimation.
Do you know of anybody that would know who to contact to get a plan?
I just mentioned I'm sorry, to get a plan.
Yeah.
I think the Upper Valley Trails Alliance could be one possibility.
To start.
There are other people that do that kind of work.
Okay,
We had a full list at one point of different people that do that kind of work on a regular basis.
Michael.
So Rudy, so given that, the issues there and complicated issues, it's my understanding that the right of way is 3 rods, the center line.
Yep.
What the present trail is.
Mhm.
So, given possible water bars and moving the trail, is that
The water crosses that entire trail.
it's the whole width of the,
Yeah, it goes, and it actually splits along both sides of the trail, so it has to cross the trail.
but in terms of
Somewhat.
maintenance and some, you had mentioned some of the other areas that are causing this. So looking at the entire trail from possibly moving sections of it is that could be done. You know, that could be looked at fairly.
There's a lot of room there, and because part of the reason I've been so opposed to moving the trail elsewhere on the property is because that road is there for a reason.
Mhm.
It's the best area
Okay.
there for that trail to be.
In that
But
section.
it
or
needs
for
maintenance.
The entire length of it, do you think where the road is for the entire length is the best place?
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of stuff with the wetland regulations that apply to areas that have been trails, so there's more leeway there for existing trails rather than putting them into new areas that would also be in wetlands.
Mhm.
okay, George.
I would like to just add to that, saying, the research that I've done with the state. I mean, there's many different ways that we can approach this, you know, you can build walkways across wetlands. You know, if you disturb no more than 250 square feet, it is my belief that the town has or the property owner has the right to replace any culvert if they want to. If it's been there, they can replace it. And there's, you know, it would be easier than any of those options to build a catwalk that goes right over all the muddy stuff and leave it alone. I mean, the question is, what are we improving this trail for? My belief is that it's walking, bikes, skiing, horses, you know,
You've also got a landowner that uses it regularly for other uses that may not be compatible with a catwalk.
a catwalk could be built right on the side of the road and that way make it wide open for if John ever decided to improve it enough to actually drive something on it.
And that's the part where we need a plan. We need a plan to show what is gonna happen, how does it impact the landowner, how does it fit within the 250 feet?
Well, give me more information on that. From what I understand is that the state does not require a permit or a plan for doing something like building a catwalk. That as long as it's built within their guidelines, you are welcome to do it, especially on an existing trail. If it were a new trail, it might be more complicated, but I mean, I feel like, this isn't complicated and we don't have to make it complicated. We need to check, but I don't think any more delays over crossing too many.
I fully feel the frustration with all the delays, and I feel like it is complicated. In order to understand whether it fits within that 250 cubic feet, where is it gonna go? So it does need a plan. This
Who
is
needs
not
to
just
know
a
that?
private landowner doing something, this is a public trail that is gonna be receiving a lot of use.
I just don't see it written anywhere that any of that is necessary for an existing trail.
Well, maybe we ought to get hold of the people Rudy talked about, the Upper Valley Trails, and get some knowledge about
Sure.
clarification.
And maybe, you know. Maybe I can gather together some of the literature or the writings that, you know, from the powers that be that control these kind of things of the state and
Okay, Betsy,
I've been in touch with the Upper Valley Trails Alliance, and they are ready to come out this fall and do an evaluation and a plan. If we would become members of the Trails Alliance for $100.
well, maybe they need to be invited to a select board meeting then, and they could present something to us. We can get Mariah to send them a note,
I would,
it's okay.
as long as this is okay, legally, I'd be willing to pay that membership fee, to join with the town to join.
And couldn't that actually be done ahead of an appearance in front of a later select board here? Couldn't that just be authorized? Become a member of the Upper Valley Trails Alliance? Is that a big motion to do that?
Yeah, if you approve joining, I'll split it with Michael.
Wow, there you go.
And you're also available to actually do the work, to build a trail. however
For a fee.
it's designed.
Yeah, that's not.
But-
So do municipalities belong to the
Mhm.
trail organization?
Municipalities or conservation commission.
I've worked with them closely, the Alliance for Vermont Communities was a member. And I can say that they're a good outfit, they've done a lot of work in the area. And, you know, they do charge, they're not always cheap, they use high school kids in the summertime and stuff to help, so. You know, it's a recognized organization in the Upper Valley.
Okay. I think we ought to go home.
So just two quick things, from a financial standpoint, I know there are townspeople that are concerned about the amount of money that's been spent on the litigation. I think it's pretty clear, just even from a couple comments and people that are not in the room, that ongoing, starting out maintenance is not necessarily gonna fall on the coffers of the town. There are enough people interested in getting the public right of way open to the public, that I think the funding for that could be there. The other point is about surrounding towns and overall the state of Vermont. More than half of the towns in the state of Vermont have legal trails. There are a number of neighboring towns that are watching this very closely. Darren's probably going to have it in the paper again this week on the front page, as it has been several times. Royalton is waiting on some decision making. Rochester, I know the select board chair there quite well. He asks me about it all the time. Sharon is keeping an eye on things, and they're actually withholding some decision-making on class 4, maybe downgrading them to legal trails based on the outcome of what comes here. And a rare time when I'm going to agree with the professor is that I hope this decision comes down soon from the judge, obviously in the town of Tunbridge's favor, in the public interest, not in the private interest, because I think it's pretty clear that the intent, and not just in this case of the Orchard Road, but probably in other states, is that if a trail is allowed to not be maintained, more trees fall against it. There's a future select board deciding on whether to, I know you're on record as saying we will never give up a legal trail right away, but somewhere down the road it could, particularly if it's totally impassable.
All right. Any more comments? All right. We're done with this segment. We have a very exciting segment coming up next. Recreation Department.
No, postpone.
Oh, man. Looking forward to that.
Well, and you got Green Mountain Economic
Oh, I didn't.
Development.
Oh, I'm sorry. Think that's fair.
This is Eric.
That sounds even more exciting.
A little bit of a different flavor. My name's Erica Hoffman Keys, and I know some people here that I haven't seen actually in person. I think the last time I saw you was on Zoom. I'm the Executive Director of Green Mountain Economic Development Corporation. We're the regional development corporation that serves Orange County and Northern Windsor County. And I'm here tonight to talk about, and I'll just let you pass this along, another project that's actually being supported by many different communities in the region, and that's the Orange County Parent-Child Center Randolph project. And I'm joined by Lindsay Trombley online, who's the Executive Director of the current program here in Tunbridge. And where we stand, this will just give you the one pager I handed out, will just give you a little bit of a background on where we came from and where we are today. It's a big project. It's been many years in the making. So we thought we were going to be getting into the ground in January, and then we got our construction estimate right at the beginning of everyone's construction estimates doubling. And that's pretty much what we were looking at. So we had to go into some value engineering and high-speed fundraising because we were looking at a shortfall of about $2.5 million. The way that we've chosen to move forward, given the available capital, is to focus on opening the upper level of the building. It's a 2-story building, and that would allow OCPCC to open for 65 kids, Lindsay?
62.
62 kids.
Is this the Gifford building?
No, this is the former Enterprise Center,
TC building?
BTC building, the lower building. There were 2 buildings on that parcel, so this is the lower building. We do have a construction manager, HP Cummings, and they just finished up the hotel in Randolph, so they are waiting to literally roll down the hill to our site. Final drawings came into my inbox today, so those went out to the construction manager, and we're once again waiting for a construction estimate. The market's a little bit different now, so hopefully we won't have the surprises that we had before. The final piece of funding that we're looking at coming in for the upper level is a Vermont Community Development Program grant from CDP, which is Community Development Block Grant federal funding that comes through the municipality. I don't know how familiar you are with those programs. Generally, the municipality where the project is located is the applicant. However, Randolph already had a Salisbury Square housing, I believe it's Salisbury Square housing project that was in the pipeline from the spring round of VCDP funding that got pushed to the fall round. So that took, and you can only, municipalities can only put forward 1 application per cycle. We have to get into the ground this fall in order to have students come through the doors in September, or we lose $3.5 million of funding, and that would be the project done. So BCDP allowed us to look at what other regional communities had supported the project thus far. Braintree had contributed some of their ARPA funding, so we asked and requested kindly if they would be willing to be the municipal applicant, and they have agreed. So that application is being put forward, submitted, probably, well, that's deadline's next Tuesday, but I believe we'll have it finished by the end of this week. Though it's not a consortium application, which is their technical term for multiple municipalities applying together. It is Braintree that's submitting. They have asked us to do some public outreach just so that neighboring communities that will also be able to benefit from the services of first 65 more slots, and then hopefully once we get funding down the road, for the further 22 slots that will be coming with a lower level. Give you a timeline of when that will happen and awareness of the service availability that will start next fall. So I'm going to tell you, if you're interested in a childcare slot, call Lindsay. Now, we felt that Tunbridge was actually really important to us because we wanted to make sure that everyone here knew that the services in the Tunbridge facility, this is an expansion, it's not a replacement. So the program here, there's no intention for it to go away. This is in addition to the program that is currently functioning.
Same services or?
It's gonna be staggered a little bit more. I'll throw it over to Lindsay to clarify to a greater degree, but my understanding is that as it ramps up size-wise in Randolph, they'll be ramping up the scope of services as well. Lindsay, do you want to add to that?
Sure. Just as a parent-child center, we offer 8 core services, which will continue in Tunbridge. The primary, and one of those 8 core services is early education. So that'll be the primary focus in Randolph, but that's also not to say that some of our other services will be delivered in Randolph to catch, the people, to prevent the people from having to travel over the mountain for some of those services.
I also have joining me online Peter Rude, who is working with us as a consultant for the development of the VCDP application. Peter, do you have anything to add before we open it up to questions for you guys?
Nope, everything I've heard you say sounds great.
Okay, good. Any questions here about program, application, GMEDC and our role in it?
I don't understand, are you improving that building, or are you knocking it down, and putting up a new one?
Improving. Gut rehab.
So what do you want from us?
Nothing. I'm just telling you what's happening and that it'll be opening next fall, fingers crossed. Keep an eye on the newspapers. We will hopefully be having something a little more public as soon as we know for certain that we have shovels. Well, actually, it's not gonna be shovels in the ground. We're taking sledgehammers to this thing. To let you know that this service is going to be available to the community as of next fall. And as we move forward with the lower level, you'll probably be hearing from us again as we look at the lower levels where the kitchen is located. And food security has been a rising issue that Lindsay and the program have encountered just like everywhere else in the state over the last several years. And so we're going to be working with the federal delegation to identify specific resources that can be used to get that kitchen up and running, maybe even before we're able to get into the whole rehab of the lower level. Just because that's going to be, food provision is becoming a more and more relevant service that is offered through the childcare center. But can I call him on him or would you?
Michael.
So this sounds great. Will any of the funding or sort of be able to help the Tunbridge facility in any way? I mean, is there a need there to expand? Are there any plans to expand?
Lindsay?
Just to clarify what your question is, to expand in Tunbridge, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, if there is a need to expand, and if so, are there any plans, maybe piggybacked on some of this work somehow?
Sure. So we're not planning to expand our ECE program. While we have some other new and exciting programs developing, right now our ECE program is not going to. I don't think it's any surprise to anybody here that staffing for early education and even public school systems has been a challenge over the last couple of years. We are experiencing that in Tunbridge. We do have some hopefully robust plans for Randolph to staff the center. But at this time, we don't foresee expanding our ECE program. We're actually running out of space in Tunbridge. And so that's not going to allow another classroom to be open.
So Green Mountain Economic Development, will own the building
Own the building, yeah.
and lease it to
Yes.
the PCC.
And the way that we've been building the capital stack, because as we all know, the childcare business isn't known for raking in the dollars. So what we've done, and this is the only way it's working financially, because one of the reasons we don't have enough childcare infrastructure is because it doesn't pencil out from a commercial perspective. We are adopting the subchapter 3 model that we use with for-profit companies, like LED Dynamics, Advanced Illuminations, Pompanesett Mills. It's a tool we use with the Vermont Economic Development Authority for the development of real estate for commercial use. Through the for-profit sector, we're using that model with a nonprofit being OCPCC, where we'll own the real estate. The lease payments coming in from OCPCC though will only, that's what's going to be used to cover any debt that's carried on the project. And we are really trying to maximize the grant funding in order to decrease that amount of debt so that it's not a burden on the childcare center. And the more that we can discount that amount of debt, then the more funding they'll have available for scholarships, additional services, that kind of thing.
And then who owns Tunbridge's?
Is that a site you own or do you rent it?
Yes. Nope, we own that site.
So they will
So
continue.
they own.
Yeah.
And the lease also.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, any other questions, comments? Sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I wish you good luck.
Thank you very much. And as the RDC, if there are other issues that the Regional Development Corporation can help with, just let me know.
Yeah.
Contact information on the back. I'll give you my card for all the details
Okay.
and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Where does Green Mountain Economic Corporation?
Yeah. There are 12 RDCs and we just kind of like the 13th RDC. They're sort of like the funding pool that makes a lot of the work possible. All the subchapter 3s are through VITA. Yeah. They're one of our, they're a very closely working partner.
Right,
So.
but they're not the mothers.
No. We're all nonprofits and there's no actually official affiliation, but we work as a network.
Right, thank you. Other business?
Other
I have
business.
some.
Okay.
I called my pal.
Something like this.
Right.
Look
Anyway,
at
John,
what Scott can ask you to do a bridge.
right,
I tried to get in touch with like How today, talked to Judy, and she said he's tearing apart the dock at the.
as we speak,
As we speak,
Yeah.
and when he's finished with that, he'll start working on the coverage.
oh, good.
That's the update there. I was supposed to call somebody else, I think.
Sorry. Maybe.
Oh.
If I remember. Oh.
I know I was gonna talk to Mary Ann, I haven't. But that was.
We need to rise up, get somebody to look at those trees over there, transfer station, now.
Whatever happened about the trees on
Cemetery.
cemetery?
Still there.
No, that's finished.
Wasn't that after the fair, why is he gonna do that? It seems like,
For the cemetery commission.
yeah, well, it seems like that's what Baxter said was after the fair.
Wasn't it, it was, what's his name?
Oh, no,
Randolph.
no, is it, well, maybe I'm not supposed to say that.
No, he was getting somebody,
Right.
didn't have them.
Holston, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, Baxter, I saw Baxter somewhere in the last month, and he said Isaac can do it for $1,000 less.
Oh, okay.
And so Isaac's gonna do it after the fair,
All right,
and he was just gonna tip them over into the road and then clean up the mess and then tip the next one, there's only 3 of them. Right.
or 2.5, really.
Yeah.
One lost its top years ago.
So anyway, that's
Okay.
unofficially, that's where that stands.
Okay. Let us know.
We've lost all our guests.
Mhm.
These,
All of them.
Fred Pond, are you there?
It's like reverse executive session. where
I know.
Everybody's gone.
What cemetery is that?
The Stratford.
Stratford.
Fred, are you there?
Brenda.
Probably chasing the cat.
Oh, it looked like Brenda's got a little friendly hand above.
She
the
does.
Yeah, it's like leaving.
It's like a little prop on a.
It is. It's
Bruce
like
chicken.
Right, yeah, comb. Brenda's got a comb on her head.
Fred is just, probably left the building.
He's probably making dinner.
Yeah, he was earlier.
I have
Other business.
3 liquor licenses. I had 4, but one of them was for tomorrow at the fair for the beer hall, so I just
We
assumed.
did that earlier too, didn't we?
No, I guess we
There's
did.
one of the minutes.
Yeah, well, we did one of them, but then she needed another one and
Oh, really?
yeah, so I figured you would allow me to approve it, so I just went ahead and did it. One for Brockle Bank. They're doing an event at Fieldstone Farm.
Oh, yeah.
Brooks Hubbard Band, October 13th.
Oh,
Another one for Brockle Bank. They're doing Burger Night, at Shona's Farm.
Yeah.
On September 29th. And then this is the one for the beer hall, which I approved. I printed it up anyways.
Sounds good to me.
And then my only other thing was Judy Howe wanted me to ask you. So if we do like celebration of life at the town hall, but they do it through the church, then you don't charge for it. It's free because it's like something that the church is sponsoring in the town hall. But she's had a couple people independent of the church come to her and want to rent the town hall out for a celebration of life. And she wants to know if we would still not charge anything because it's for a Tunbridge resident who's died, that they're doing a celebration of life, even though they're not going through the church. And I said,
Yeah, okay.
probably.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Tunbridge
Yeah,
resident probably is the important thing.
Yeah, as long as they're a resident.
Okay,
or some longtime resident.
Right.
Right, has a
Moved to Florida,
connection, right, yeah.
okay, I'll let her know that, yes, even if they don't go through the church, as long as they're a resident, celebration of life is.
Or have a
free.
long connection to Tunbridge.
Right. We
'Cause
don't
they
want-
could be in a nursing home.
Right.
Right,
Morgan Orchards or whatever.
we don't want people trucking in here from Connecticut. or something like that.
Okey dokey. That's all I got.
Oh, another thing was Adam. Have we had an ad out looking for a sub?
I posted it just on,
Mike
it's
wants to get that.
online and I posted it on Facebook.
Okay.
I haven't put it in the newspaper yet, but I will.
I can ask Andy
A
again.
sub or two, right, yeah, that would be good.
He probably might be able to do it on a Saturday, but probably not during the week.
You can't have enough, so
Right,
if he was,
we had 2 or 3 of them.
right, then we could.
Yeah.
Speed dial them on
Hmm,
next time Adam has
right. I don't know, maybe-
unexpected absence. So if Andy was one, that'd be good.
Yep.
To start. That's it for that.
I just wanted to confirm, so when I reach out to Karen Blow and I tell her she needs to get approval from Cal's
We-
children and
You
stuff,
can tell her that we don't want her on the trail because we're not doing events.
okay, so we don't want her, even if they say, oh, it's fine, you can use the trail, we're saying she can't use the trail.
Right,
Okay, but she can go all over their
But if-
property.
but if Hemingway says you can go all over the property, then
Okay.
that's nothing to us.
Okay, perfect, just wanted to confirm.
But the only piece of property that they can't use is the trail.
Right. Because we said no event.
Did we say like no events or no events unless we approve? That's what I don't know.
I think I'll go back
Jonathan.
in the minutes and see.
Jonathan emailed me and he said, well, is that an event?
Right.
Cause you guys said no event, but I don't know what the exact wording was. I mean, as dry as it is, I could give a rat's ass with road horses over
Right,
there.
I don't,
She didn't wanna ride them, she just wanted to walk them.
Right.
Like a dog.
Yeah, she said they'd walk them. And I don't see any problem with that, but if we said no events,
can you look that
can
up?
you look that up?
I will,
'Cause
Right.
I think as long as we,
oh, right now, please hold.
as long as we have,
Are you all set with this? I'll bring my computer over and then I can look through all the minutes.
Okay, well, we're just gonna sign.
Yeah.
the
Bye,
warrant.
Fred and Brenda.
Anybody else?
I think as
have any-
long